It's Christmas Day in Rainbow Land, and all our friends are here. We're talking Rainbow Brite. Hit it. It was 1985. The Greenpeace ship Rainbow Warrior was sunk by French agents. Cushioned boots were in. Madonna was crazy for you. And the Color Kids decided to release a Christmas album. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me is a very special guest. You'll know her from rainbowbrite.net, Katy, Cartee, Haile. Katy, how's it going?
It's going great. How about you, Jerry?
You know, I can't complain. It's been my day off today, so I'm actually quite thrilled.
Excellent. And, you know, it's a lead up till crazy times later this week. So I'm taking today as a just not think about anything negative day.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, as much as you can do that during a pandemic, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I actually did get COVID like back in August.
Oh no!
And it wasn't bad at all for me. I was very blessed that I think the worst I had was like a low grade fever and some congestion. And
wow, you did get lucky.
So I got super lucky, and the fever was actually because I had a little bronchitis. So yeah, not too bad. But we're starting to get into the colder months, and so now it's like, oh no.
Yep. And I've got an autoimmune disorder, so I'm like shut in basically.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Like I'm an introvert homebody, like
anyway,
as is. So this year has not been a big change for me.
I gotcha. Yeah, and it's funny because normally on my days off, I like to like go out and do things. But, you know, it's not like we can really go out and do a whole lot anyway right now. So it's
exactly.
So I'm kind of staying home today. I decided to put up my Christmas lights.
Nice.
And yeah, it was fun.
Get into the spirit early. I like it.
Well, you know, I work 6 days a week and we're about to start working 10 to 12-hour days. So it's like, yeah, well, I work at a Christmas store. So this is like our season. Yeah. Oh goodness. So it's definitely one of those times where, okay, I got to put them up now because I don't know when I'm going to get to it. And
yep. I hear you.
So you actually run rainbowbrite.net. I take it you really like Rainbow Brite.
A whole lot. If you can't tell by everything you see behind me.
That's right.
Yeah, I've been running that website since 1997.
Oh wow.
I didn't have the domain quite that long. I think I got the domain in 98 or 99 or 97, 98, one of those. It was really early in the days of getting domain names. It was a lot harder to do. Like these days you just go to GoDaddy.com or whatever and type
that's
in
right,
thing.
yeah.
But back then you had to like apply for it and it was like $30-something. And for a like 17, 18-year-old, that was not a trivial amount of money. But I did it. I was like, I'm going to have this domain, darn it. Because Hallmark already had rainbowbrite.com, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So I was like, this one's mine. And I got .org as well.
Oh, nice.
I have a separate site there too that's just for fan creations and like cosplay and tattoos and cool stuff like that.
Oh, I gotcha. Right on.
But .net's my baby. I've had her for so long.
Well, and you also used to have like just a 80s cartoon site, didn't you? Was that right?
Do you remember that? Oh my God. Yeah, it started with Rainbow and then I expanded. It was 80s Chica's 80s cartoon site.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, I had a page for pretty much any 80s cartoon I could think of, and I would at least have like their theme song, a picture of the main character, a little synopsis, just whatever little information I could find, just so there was representation for all of the cartoons that didn't have dedicated sites for them yet.
Right, right. Like
Uh,
Jason the Wheeled Warriors or something.
yeah, randoms. Like I had never even heard of half of these things that people told me about. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go find a book and scan a picture out of it. No problem.
Right on. So Rainbow Bright, what is it about her that, or in general, the Color Kids and everything that really drew you to her?
What's funny is that in the 80s, I was actually a bigger He-Man fan than I was
Nice.
Rainbow Bright. I have an older brother, so he chose what we watched a bit more than I did. But I was
Hmm.
also hugely into sci-fi and fantasy. So, and it was a thing that we could enjoy and play together. So he had like Castle Grayskull and a bunch of the figures.
Yeah.
So we'd have these battles, etc. But what got me with Rainbow Bright, and I've loved rainbows like since I was born, I think. Like my mom loves rainbows. I think it was inherited.
There you go. Yeah.
Um, so colors, bright colors have always been a big draw for me. But what got me was the commercials for the dolls. Like part of it was just they were so colorful and
Hmm.
fun, but they also had music in them from The Wizard of Oz. Like each commercial had a different tune with different lyrics that had to do with Rainbow Bright, but it was tunes from Wizard of Oz, which I was also a fan of as a child, of course, and still am. Um, so I'm very musical. I'm very color oriented. So all of that together, which is was the perfect mix for Katy. It's like they made it for me.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love He-Man was my jam. I loved He-Man as
nice.
well. And then of course G.I. Joe and Transformers and all
Uh
that.
huh.
Those I call them like the big six, there's like
Yeah.
all those there. But Rainbow Bright, funnily enough, I never really was super into. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's because ever since I was little, I always kind of, whatever I was watching, I would like put myself in the position of the main character. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
as a little boy, I couldn't identify with the little blonde girl very, very much. And so, funnily, although I could identify for some reason with, crazy jacked, He-Man guy, but anyway, so I was never super into it until I saw the Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer, I think is what it's called,
Yes.
the movie. And I really
Nice.
dug Onyx, the horse. I thought it was like
Yes.
crazy awesome. This robotic horse was like sleek, and I think his writer's name was like Chris or something, right?
Yep. You got a
Okay,
good memory.
I some of it and I'll be honest, some of it was just from research as well, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
It's actually the 35th anniversary of that movie in like 2 weeks.
Oh
It's the
wow,
15th. Yeah.
nice. Well,
And I had a dog that I named Onyx.
oh,
Had him for
cool. I dig
15
that.
years. So, yep.
Well, that's funny.
She's
My
so
brother,
cute.
we had some goldfish that we named Lion-O and Chitara.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm like a huge sci-fi fantasy, comic book nerd kind of guy, and
Excellent.
so Rainbow Bright. I mean, I always loved, of course, the horse and Chris and all that. But
Mhm.
then I also kind of liked, oh gosh, is his name Red Butler?
Yep.
Right? Like Rhett
Yep.
Butler, except red. I loved his outfit. And
Yes.
I always kind of hated a little bit that the blue, because blue is my favorite color, that he was just like in
Same.
like workout gear. And I was like,
Yep.
I wanted him to have the cool like superhero outfit that Red had. And so I was always a little mad that they did that to my boy Blue. But
He was the jock, it's true.
he
But he was a
was,
sweet
yeah.
jock.
He was. You're right. You're right. But yeah, I was definitely not a jock. So
Me neither.
scrawny little guy. So I was always just a little upset that he wasn't the superhero one. But
I love that comparison. I always thought of Red's cape being just the dashing gentleman that he was kind of based off of with the whole Rat Butler. But I like the idea of his cape being like a superhero type costume. And
well,
he
I was
was
a little boy.
very
I
well,
didn't
yeah.
I
And
didn't know any better. But
he was the aggressive one. He like took charge.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because you look at him, and I guess he's red, and red in general is associated with that particular personality trait of, they're like the leaders, the
Yeah.
go-getters, they'll push you to do whatever. And um, so it's just like, okay, he's definitely red, but you're right. At the same time, I just thought he was a superhero.
I love that. I totally love that.
Yeah, but I had no idea how much merchandise they actually had. There's like so
Oh
much
God.
stuff. And
Yes, there
on your
is.
videos, it seems like every time you have a new video, you're like, check out this merchandise, and there's just all sorts of I mean,
Yeah, stuff from the 80s that I'm still finding that I've never seen before. It's just like how has this stuff existed for over 30 years? Well, not over, but well, yeah, actually, yeah, over 30 years.
mhm.
I, not that we're not both doing that on this show,
It's
but
true, yeah.
yeah, I just had a birthday last week, or over the weekend, so I'm just like, oh, another year. Um,
Yeah, this
but
this year was a big year for me, and that's all I'll say.
well, then I was a big year plus one this
Okay,
year.
all right.
Uh, but what was I? Where was I
Yeah,
going with
mine's
that?
coming up in February, so that's
Okay,
yeah. Oh well.
lost my train of thought, but whatever it was.
About all the stuff and that we
Stuff,
we keep
right?
finding.
That I keep
Yeah,
stuff that I never had seen before is just bonkers. I mean, a lot of it is from Europe and other countries, so that makes it a
that kind of
little
makes sense. Yeah.
more sense. But there have even been some American things that I've come across, and I'm like, what? Like how?
Well, I think I saw. I was a while back, but I think he had like a Rainbow Brite that had the darker skin tone on it, and
Yes.
I think I remember seeing that one.
Yep, I've got her. Let's see if I can reach her. Here she is.
Oh wow.
Just because I haven't put my new shelf up that I need to back here to give her a proper place to display her. But yeah, she's a variant. I think an accidental one, like an interstitial, where they were probably changing out the plastics from a different doll that they were making head molds for. And this was probably supposed to go in the trash, and it made it into a box
That's
and
so
it got
cool.
sold. Yeah, I
I
think
love
it's the
stuff like that.
coolest thing. Me too.
Yeah, we finally, my brother a couple of years ago, he finally because we loved Thundercats was another one of our favorites, and
Oh yeah,
he
same.
I remember in season 2 they introduced those other three Thunderians, and it was Bengali was one of them, and we wanted him when we were little so bad, and we never could find him, like just every
Oh.
single place we could never find him. And so a few years ago my brother finally found him, and so he bought him, and then he bequeathed, I suppose, all of his stuff to us. And so
Oh, that's amazing.
my kids play with them, and I know they're collector's
Yes.
items, but at this point they're all kind of ratty anyway, so might as well just let
Yeah.
the kids have fun with them. And so they do. They play with all our toys, and Castle Grayskull, which is just barely holding on. And
Well, yeah, they're coming out with a new one this or next
that's
year.
true. Yep.
If you want to shell out like $75,
Well, I
but
know that's the downside, but
exactly. But I love that this stuff is coming back. It's great.
it is. Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I even heard they're going to do a couple of other retro properties, but we'll see. Fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed. Yeah.
But so Rainbow Bright, you mentioned it earlier. It was it started as what, some cards, some characters on greeting cards
Yes.
from Hallmark. Is that correct?
That's correct. They came up with her in 1982 is when they started the design of her. They copyrighted her in 1983. So I believe some cards were probably hitting stores in 83. And 83 is also the year that they recorded the albums. So there's the Christmas album, but they also have just a general happy rainbow music album that's not holiday themed, and they recorded both of those in 83, but no merchandise was sold until 84,
Oh,
apart from
wow.
I guess some cards perhaps. But I still need to go through my cards. I have a contact at Hallmark that works in the archives, and he's told me if I give him these particular numbers or codes off the back of the cards, he can tell me what year they came out. So I need to actually sit down and do that and see if any of the cards did actually come out in 1983. But
That's
I
so
think so.
cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. I love it when people are like in the know. So a friend of mine is the official biographer of Rankin Bass.
No way.
And yeah, and so he's produced, I think, 6 books now at this point on them. But
Wow.
he knew Arthur Rankin, and he was friends with Maury Laws and like all the voice actors, and he knows, and just Paul Coker Jr. that did a lot of the designs. And so it's always cool when you get to talk to people that really know stuff. And so that's why
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
I hope I don't let you down.
No, you won't. I promise. Already, you've told me more than I found. I'm just researching. So,
Awesome.
but I do have the album right here, so I was
Oh
able to
my
find a
God, so
copy.
do I. I brought mine up just for you.
Nice, yeah, it's cool. I noticed you do have them on your website as well, and I
Mhm.
think you even have them up on YouTube.
Yes.
And there are some really interesting versions on here. I mean, of course, they kind of play up some of the some of the rainbow stuff, and so they'll swap out some words of locations and things like that. But I mean, there's like I really enjoyed that first one, "A Gift of Love."
Oh my God, yes.
It's
That's my favorite.
I mean, it's like class. As soon as it starts, it sounds very 80s right away. You can
Yeah.
tell the little synthesizer, but I love it because it sounds very children's 80s. Like
Uh-huh.
there's a whole genre, and of course it's like in their chord structure and everything that they do, but it's just like you right away you can tell, oh, that was made for kids and it was made in the 80s. But I
Just
love it.
takes you
it's
back.
it's a great song.
It is. And they actually repurposed it in 1991 because this was Disney. So they used it on, hang on, I think I made a note of this. Um, where did I put it? Yeah, there's an album called The 12 Days of Christmas from 1991. And they used it's the same title, same melody, some of the same lyrics, but they did change up some of the lyrics to be more just Disney, and they took out all of the Rainbow Brite references. And it's sung by adults, not by children.
Huh.
So it's a very different sound. And I honestly like the Rainbow Brite one much better. I am biased, I realize this, but I think
That's
either way, I would like it better.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they've done that with several songs on other things in other genres, and you're just like, that doesn't quite. That's not the
Yep.
one I like. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what you mean. On the album, how many do you know? Were that some of the original voice actors? I don't think they used all of the voice actors, did they?
Not all of them because they had not cast all of them yet.
Ah,
Since these were in 83
because
and
they were in '83. That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they had cast some, and let me rattle off. Let me think if I can remember them all. So Bettina, the voice of Rainbow Brite, she did Rainbow Brite singing voice.
Okay.
And there's actually a funny story behind that. Like they were looking for another child singer because they didn't realize she could sing. And one day, I think she was just humming or singing along in the studio, and they're like, "Oh, you can sing?" And she's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, well, sing Happy Birthday." And she's like, "Oh, why don't I sing like a real song?" And they're like, "Okay." And she
I
literally
love it.
whipped out "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina."
Oh wow.
Like this little girl, I think she was like 9 at the time or something like that. So they were like, "Oh, you got chops. Okay, we got our singing voice," which
That's
I'm so
awesome.
grateful for because she had a singing career later in her life when she was, I guess, in her maybe late 20s, early 30s, something like that. Um, she did a couple of albums and a few
Nice.
singles, and I still follow her on all the things because she's just a wonderful human being. I love her.
Right on.
So she was on it. They also had Pat Fraley, who did the voice of Lurky, along with, I mean, that was his main voice in the series, but he also did, oh gosh, like Buddy Blue and Onyx. He did the horse that you
Oh,
like so much.
awesome.
Um,
You just look
he did,
cool.
yeah, he really did. A lot of kids loved him, and I know I'm forgetting some, but he did several character voices. But yeah, he did Lurky's the talking and the singing. Um, for Murky, they got somebody else to do the singing, but they might have gotten Peter Cullen to do the speaking. I'm trying to remember because my friend Renee, who runs rainbowbrite.co.uk, she and I have a Rainbow Brite podcast. Well, or did. I mean, it's still around, but we just haven't recorded an episode in so long that right now it feels like a past thing. And we may get back to it someday. We may not. We've both had challenges over the years that have kept us from doing it.
Well, it doesn't help that this year's felt like 20 years.
No kidding. You are not wrong. But we actually got to interview Michael and Patty Silvershire, who composed several of the songs for both of these albums. And so they gave us some cool behind the scenes information. And I think they were the ones that told us that Peter did the speaking, and it was Corey somebody, I think, that did the singing for Murky. I'm trying to think if there was any other voice actors from the show that ended up. I think so, because no, not yet. The horse is a different person too. Yeah, I think it was just Bettina and Pat.
Oh,
and
wow.
a little bit of Peter Cullen maybe speaking.
That's cool.
Yeah, they had what was her name? Stacy? Betty Joyce, I guess ran an agency for child singers out in LA at that time, and she was the one that got together the group of child singers to do this album. And actually apparently she worked with Molly Ringwald.
Nice.
And she did some music for Disney on an album or two. So I was just like, what? I
don't remember that at all.
Yeah, same.
And I remember a lot from the 80s, but I don't remember that. I'm going to have to check that out now.
Yeah, you should totally, because one of the songs, it's like, oh my God, she could sing. Like, she had some pipes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
No, wow. I mean, Peter Cullen, of course, I know from Transformers mostly.
Yes.
Yep. You know, good old Optimus.
Which is why it's so impossible for me to meet him. Like, I have one or two fan friends that have gone to conventions and actually met him and like told him that they loved Rainbow Brite, and he like went straight into the Murky voice and he was all about it. He
That's
like
cool.
signed their doll and everything. So, but I know he's so hot. He's a hot commodity. So
yeah,
I feel like it's going to be next to impossible for me to ever meet him. But maybe.
Well,
someday.
I think he even did the voice of Eeyore for a bit.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing. Of course, it was later on in like the late 90s, early 2000s, but
yeah.
But still, I mean, the guy is crazy talented. So
yes, yes, 100%.
But this tune, "The Gift of Love," so it's sung by Rainbow Brite, who you said was Bettina, and then the Color Kids. So they were just, I guess, just some other kids that could sing.
Yeah, just kind of a child choir type thing.
Yep. That's kind of a shame that they weren't named. I mean, I would have liked to, I would have liked to have seen my name on an album, even if it was just like chorus,
Yeah. Although now that you say that, I was looking some stuff up before we started out, and I thought I found oh no, it just says the Color Kids. It doesn't have any of the kids' names. That's a shame. But actually it doesn't show Peter Cullen for Murky. It only shows Corey Burton. So I guess he did the speaking and the singing.
I gotcha.
And yeah, Michael Silvershire, who wrote some of the songs, he and Patty did the voice of Twink for the albums, but he was not the voice in the cartoon.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Still, I mean, you can still put that on your resume there. Yeah, that was the voice of Twink. Well, I think they even, I think they were the ones that actually changed some of the lyrics here to make them more Rainbow Brite centric. I believe, wasn't it them?
Let me think. When we interviewed them, they said, hold on, that they worked on, like, the one they actually wrote all of the lyrics to was the 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And then they worked with others on Christmas in the Pits and A Gift of Love.
Gotcha.
But I think there were others involved as must have done the other songs where they were repurposing some of the classic lyrics. Like the Rainbow Brite centric.
Well, you know, it's a Rainbow Brite album. The Muppets do it too, so might as well, right?
Yeah, I think like they gave a lot of credit to Jim. It was Jim Magron, Jim Andron. I thought there was a Jim Magron in here. Where am I? That might have been on the other album, not the Christmas one. So Jim Andron produced and arranged on this one. So I think I know they mentioned his name. Uh, Steve Gillette is mentioned as new lyrics on, let's see which one, Deck the Halls,
Oh
and
yeah,
then,
which was a fun one. I liked that one too.
although I'm got a funny story about that. I mean, not really a story, but one of your questions at the end has to do with that one.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I do those little bits at the end, and I don't know if people like them, but I like them. I have fun with it.
I
So
think it's a great idea.
it's funny because sometimes it's super hard to like find like the part that you just, even if you just like it less than everything else because you love everything else,
Yeah,
it's still super hard sometimes to choose.
it was very hard.
But I think it's funny, and honestly, I actually came up with the name of the segment before I came up with like the actual material in the segment. So it's like, okay, I like that, but now what are we gonna do there? So,
It's amazing.
but yeah, so a gift of love that starts off, and the lyrics are actually pretty sweet when you look at it. It's it says there's a special gift we're giving at a special time of year. So right away, they're kind of setting up something, and then it's like it's Christmas Day in Rainbow Land, and
Mhm.
all our friends are near, which again is very a sweet sentiment. Which I didn't watch a ton of Rainbow Bright. I just mostly remember just the movie, but
Mhm.
I in the movie I remember it being a lot about friends and family and kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I mean it to me at least in my inexperienced self, it really does kind of encapsulate like the whole ethos of Rainbow Bright right there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I hadn't really thought about it that hard, but yeah, I would definitely agree. It's funny, like I've heard this song a million times, I've sung it
Hmm.
a million times, and now I've got the lyrics here in front of me as well. Since I brought my ukulele up here just in case. And now I'm like, huh, yeah, aw, that's so sweet. Because yeah, I'm not to you don't have to tell me where you stand on any of this, and this is just a personal thing, but I grew up religious, but I'm not religious anymore, and so songs like this that can be enjoyed by everyone equally,
Hmm.
I love more than some of the others that
Hmm.
um don't necessarily age well. Like, not that there's anything wrong with them necessarily, but it's just weird hearing Rainbow Bright sing about Jesus.
That was
It's
kind
like,
of
what?
weird, yeah. It because they live
Yeah,
in their own little dimension or whatever.
right.
I
Like
mean,
they
it is.
literally live on another planet. They are like a different species, basically. They don't age, but yet they're singing about Jesus. Okay. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
You know what? I think a lot of it is just because these were royalty free.
Yes,
They were just
100%.
they didn't have to pay any to get
Yep.
the rights to do them. I mean, look at the list. We got Jingle Bells, 12 Days of Christmas, Silent Night, Joy to the World, and then of course the first Noel, Deck the Halls, and then the little medley that they have with like the three or four other songs. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all songs that you don't have to pay for.
Yep.
So I mean, it makes sense when you
Exactly.
think about it.
It does. I can't blame them.
No,
And I think the original album, the Paint a Rainbow in Your Heart, had like 10 original songs on it. So they
wow.
put a lot more money, I think, into that one
Right. Yeah.
for skimping a little on this one. I mean, the sound quality and the singing and everything is fantastic. So I ain't mad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right about the sound quality. Even on my record, which is there's a little scratch in it
Oh,
in Joy to the World. But I mean, it's okay. It's still great. I
yeah.
still enjoy it. And so I ended up just downloading, the MP3s and using that for now.
Nice.
So that works too, I guess. But
Yeah. And I love when people stumble across those on YouTube and they're just like, "Oh my God, I remember this when I was a kid. I never thought I would hear it again." It just like gives them the warm fuzzies, which gives me the warm fuzzies, which it's
Oh
just a
yeah,
feedback
there's
loop.
something. I mean, nostalgia is very powerful, It
Oh
really
yeah.
is. It really is a powerful force. And I mean, this is one that I actually didn't remember. This completely passed me by when I was a kid. It
Actually,
wasn't.
same. I did not have this album as a kid.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't remember it at all. It's just
Yep.
the other one I think I remembered that there was something, but I didn't know she had a Christmas album until I started researching ideas for my podcast. And so I stumbled across that and I thought, what? A Christmas album? Um,
Yep.
and then of course I saw the track listings, and they're like you said, they're all mostly religious, and so I was very confused
Yeah.
until I started thinking more about it, and I realized it's because they're all free. Um, but the songs that they composed for it, I thought were actually really great songs
Yeah,
as
I
well.
100%
I mean,
agree.
the other one, Christmas in the Pits, is pretty funny.
Yes, it's hysterical. I was
I-
reading on some article, what was it? How it's, for Murky and Lurky who,
right.
hate Christmas, but also, oh gosh, they said it so funny. I want to get it right. Oh, here we go. Is a comic duet between villainous Murky and flunky Lurky, but even this song can be seen as multi-layered for adults weary of the pressures of the season's obligations, economics, and other challenges.
That's so true. It's
Isn't it?
it's funny because we were talking, some friends and I were talking about just different characters, and more we realize how we're all a little bit, even though we love Christmas, we're all a little bit more and more relating to the Grinch.
Yes,
and,
I
and,
feel you.
and so I think it's because we're all getting older and we're getting more set in our ways, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it just made me chuckle, and I kind of get that feeling also with Murky and Lurky here.
Yep. I mean, Murky doesn't enjoy anything except for making things gloomy, but yeah, it's definitely a reflection on how a lot of people feel around Christmas time.
Well, you're right about that. But so Murky and Lurky, they were kind of like the villains, right, of the whole
Yes.
show. I,
Yep.
I vaguely remember them, and I don't remember them having, at least in my memory, I don't remember them having a lot to do in the movie.
They
Um,
were in it, but yeah, the Dark Princess was the big
she was the
bad
big
in the
bad, yeah.
movie. Yep. They
Hmm.
were just here and there causing mischief, getting in the way, etc.
Right, right.
Um,
So were they just I mean, I guess they were just the comic relief kind of villains?
They were. There is an episode called Mom that gives the backstory of Murky and why he hates color. And interestingly enough, when he was a baby or a toddler, he loved colors more than any child his mother had ever known. And he used to color and paint and all this. But one day he started painting the walls. And his mother got very upset
Yeah.
and screamed at him and said, "You will clean this color off if it takes you the rest of your life." And that just
Uh,
like rings in his head, the rest of your life, the rest of your life. And it comes back to like present day, and he's just got this look on his face of, oh my God. So yeah, she ruined him. His mother
Oh
ruined
no, so
him.
we have to be careful what we say. I gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now I really have to think about what I tell my children, but
I think that was a bit of an exaggeration in his
yeah, I'm
case.
sure, but still now it's like, uh-oh. I better watch myself. Oh goodness. But Rainbow Bright herself started off as a little girl named Wisp. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay,
that
that's
is.
that's about, and I think she has a magic rainbow belt, and that's like the most I remember about her backstory.
Well, that's more than most people. So, congratulations. Yes, she was brought from another place. We don't know where.
Hmm.
But yeah, her name was Wisp. They're in subsequent reboots, or mini reboots, mini series, I guess you could say. They've tried to imply that she's from Earth or was from Earth originally, but I don't buy into it.
Gotcha.
Personally, because there's a line in one of the episodes that makes it seem as though the color kids are eternal. Like they mentioned this thing that they haven't seen for 700 years, but they're all still, they look like children. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, y'all just don't age. I get it. So I lump Rainbow Brite in with that species, whatever that is. So yeah, she comes to this land. She's brought there by this just, she kind of arrives in a ball, kind of like the Good Witch of the North or whatever, the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz.
Glenda,
Um,
yeah.
Glinda, thank you. She kind of arrives in that style, and the bubble just pops, and then there she is, and the voice tells her she has to go find the sphere of light to bring color back to this world, and just leaves her on her own. It's like that. Wisp is like, okay. So she's in this
They'll
super
figure it
dark,
out.
dreary place. And yeah, she meets Twink along the way, and then they meet Starlight, and eventually they free all the color kids. And yeah, she finds the belt and a baby, which ends up being the sphere of light. But it's also baby Brite, this doll you might be able to see over here with the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. She turns into an orb at the end and disappears of the beginning of Rainbow Land Part 2. So she's like, so she wasn't really a baby ever to begin with.
I don't know. That's
That's
odd.
bizarre. But yeah, it's I just love the fact that they gave her an origin story. And it wasn't the first episode. It was like I want to say the third or fourth. It came out a little bit later. Yeah, it wasn't the first.
That's cool. I like when they do that because there's always that you always kind of want to know, at least with the hero, you kind of want to know like why are they doing this,
Yeah.
So like how we mentioned He-Man, with Adam and
Yeah.
finding the sword of power and all that, and so it's kind of the same thing, and it makes me, it always interests me when they actually build the world, all the world building part. That's like my favorite part. That's why I love comics, because it's just the world building is just crazy huge,
Yep.
And so I'm glad that they actually took the time to do that.
Same, especially when they only made 13 episodes. Like, that's it in the movie, and a couple of live action specials that I don't really recommend.
Oh no. It's funny because it's Hallmark, so I mean you would think that at least on their channels, to appeal to maybe some kids, they might do a Rainbow Brite show or something just for for that, but
no,
I guess not.
It was to sell toys,
Just Christmas movies,
sadly. Yeah, they did do a reboot in 2014, but it was just 3 episodes. They were very short, like 10 to 13-minute episodes, something like that. And that was it. And I think they were just kind of hoping it would take off and then they would do more, but it didn't gain the following. And they put it on their own proprietary streaming service, so you had to pay.
So you had to pay.
Everybody's already paying for Netflix and Hulu and
right.
et cetera. And they're like, oh, and we want you to pay another however much for this other streaming service that you're only going to watch this one thing on, unless you really love Hallmark movies. In that case, you can watch them all.
And and I don't mind the Hallmark movies because you can literally just turn your brain off and just watch them and enjoy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't pay money for that.
Yeah, same.
Sorry, folks out there.
A lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't really well done anyway. Like, looking back, I supported it at the time, and it did have potential. I still stand by that. It did have potential. Like, the writer had obviously done her homework, and she had some interesting ideas for where it could have gone, but never got the chance to go any further with it. So
yeah, and I know how that goes. I mean, He-Man and Thundercats also had like reboot of sorts, and G.I. Joe as well was short-lived, and all of them lasted like maybe a season, maybe 2, and then that was it. Yep. And it's kind of a shame because they weren't as dear to my heart as the originals, but I liked what they did. I thought the mythology was great that they added, and so it was kind of a shame. And so I definitely feel your pain. I understand that.
Yep. Although we've got more He-Man coming next year.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
And I loved the new She-Ra. I don't know if you've watched it, but I loved it.
I still haven't yet. It's not because I don't want to. It's just I just haven't had a chance. Like
Gotcha.
I have to really pick and choose what I get to watch because I just don't get to watch a lot, especially this time of year, which is kind of a shame. I used to have a contest with some friends of mine about who could watch the most Hallmark Christmas premieres. And last year I only got to see 3. So I lost miserably. And it's just, this year I probably won't get to see as many either. But yeah, so that's definitely on my radar. It's been on my list of things to watch, and I just haven't gotten a chance. I'm excited about Kevin Smith's version. Yes. And I think Rainbow Brite would have been something that would be cool to reboot.
Absolutely. I mean, gosh, if you just look at the newer version of My Little Pony that they just wrapped up, I guess that was last year. I freaking loved that show. I was like,
Yeah.
every time a new season came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm here for it. So well done. So I know it can be done.
Yeah.
But Rainbow sadly has not had that luck yet in
Yeah,
any
I
reboot.
understand. And maybe they will. I mean, Hallmark, you never know. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they're big enough that they might. I'm surprised there aren't a lot more of her keepsake ornaments, though. Like you would, if
No.
they own the property, you think that they would just design like at least all the color kids along
You
with
would
her. You would
think.
think, but
You would think. But no, what they did, I'm sorry, I get mad about this all the time because I can see them all over here to my right. I think it was 2013 they came out with a like 30th anniversary ornament, and then 2 years later they released the exact same ornament again for
uh,
2015. I was just like, are you kidding me? It's the same ornament. But they did come out with a couple more after that. I want to say 20, was it 16, 17, and 18. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have those right. And two of them are just, well, one's Rainbow Brite with Twink, one is
hmm
Rainbow Brite with like a bucket of star sprinkles, and one is Rainbow Brite on Starlight. But yeah, they've never done any other characters that didn't involve Rainbow Brite herself, and
Yeah.
that's just a pity. Well, I take that back. They did some, not in Hallmark stores, but at Walmart and Kmart, they had these pop style
Oh, uh-huh.
ornaments, and they did do Tickled Pink in that style, but that's the only character they did
Oh,
other than
wow.
Rainbow.
And there's so many. I mean, you mentioned there's what, like seven of them altogether, I think.
Yeah, seven main ones, and then they've
Mhm.
got Tickle Pink, Moonglow, and Stormy, who are
Stormy
kind of
is the one I
tertiary.
remember.
Yeah, everybody remembers her, especially from the
She's
movie.
she's not really like a colored kid per se,
No,
but she kind of fits in with them. I
she does. She helps out when it's needed.
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
She stays to herself the rest of the time. She's having too much fun making it rain.
Well, I mean, if you got the power, might as well.
Yeah, right. You have a horse that shoots lightning out of its hooves. I mean, come on.
That
I would
sounds
have some fun
awesome.
with that
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Yeah, I'd be like riding it all day, It's like, come on, let's
Yes.
do something else. um but yeah, so again, the album itself had two original songs. All the rest are pretty much standards. The original songs were "A Gift of Love," which we kind of touched on, and then "Christmas in the Pits," which again, it's just the favorite thing. My favorite line of this whole thing is when he says, the best thing about Christmas is it's only once a year." That's like
Yes.
Murky says it, and I mean it's like so typical, Grouch just
Yep.
uh
But
I mean,
also like relatable.
yeah, yeah. And I love Christmas. It's my favorite. But even I get tired sometimes, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Don't please don't hate me for this. But even I sometimes get tired of the Christmas music, and I think it's
I can imagine.
mostly because at our store, like during the off season, they'll put it on, like Fleetwood Mac and 60s, 70s, 80s. And then once we start up again, because we're closed for about 3 months, once we start up again, they'll put it on like just a regular Pandora or Spotify kind of playlist. And so you hear all these different things, but then once like it really gets into the season, like around mid-September,
Mhm.
they play the same six CDs like over and over
Oh
again.
no, that's
And
torture.
so, and as much, there's like three versions of three different songs that I just cannot stand. So,
Oh,
but I don't get me wrong, I love Christmas music, but after hearing those every day for like 10 hours a
yeah,
day, you kind
we
of,
need some variety.
yeah, you kind of do get a little burned out on that. So, so it is refreshing to hear like a new song, like "The Gift of Love," or but yes, I definitely can relate to Murky a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they, as we mentioned, they actually take some of these standards and they change the lyrics a little bit. So like in the 12 Days of Christmas, it's Twink,
Yep.
and it's all about, in the 12 days in Rainbow Land, so on the first day of Christmas in Rainbow Land. So, well, first of all, you got to get used to the idea that they celebrate Christmas in Rainbow Land, but
Yeah. Just like in He-Man and She-Ra, they got
that's
the
right.
Christmas special. But at least they kind of, there's a reason there because Marlena is
Marlena,
from
yeah.
Earth.
Yeah, so it definitely makes sense,
Yeah,
and then of course the two Earth children actually get caught up there.
right.
Um, so yeah, but I mean, you kind of have to imagine they probably have like the prettiest Christmas tree ever. I mean, if
Yes.
you think about their colors and like you said, the star sprinkles and everything that they could use, I mean, it's got to be like an amazing tree.
Right?
So there's at least that.
Yes. I think their actual tree would be just ginormous and
Hmm.
amazing and just
Oh yeah.
completely rainbowified.
Oh yeah, for real. So we at my store I sell like C9, big bulbs like Christmas lights.
Uh-huh.
And that's like the main thing we sell. And so it's just I can imagine how bright those are, and then even like the special things that the arts can do. So just how much more would it be in like a magical place like Rainbow Land? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
whenever I think about things like that, my head just like explodes. Like, wow, that's cool. I mean, just thinking about all the rad stuff there. But
There would totally be a rainbow coming out the top,
oh
just
yeah,
going off into the distance. It'd be great.
exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just you got to know it's got to be amazing. So,
Yes.
so when you're listening to it, and then she tops it off, of course, on the first day, it's a silver star on Rainbow Brite's tree. So
Hmm.
it's probably like a real star or something. Yeah,
Well,
or you can
Moonglove,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the characters does color star. Like if a star starts fading, she brightens it back up, which has no sci-fi ramifications whatsoever. But
No, no. So
we can
we'll just
pretend
say
she.
she's just saving civilizations on planets that the star was, that was orbiting the star, I guess. So
Yeah, there you go. Moonglow is the real hero of Rainbow Land. We've cracked it.
So- uh, but then, of course, so on the second day, I mean, and I love it because it's funny things. So, like on the second day of Christmas, you get 2 winks from Twink. On the
Mhm.
third, it's like 3 starflakes. Uh,
Yeah, instead of snowflakes, it's
instead of
starflakes.
starflakes, yeah.
Yeah.
So man, again, you kind of you have to imagine what it would be like. So instead of like it's snowing, it's I mean it would be I don't even know how to describe it. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
starring, but
this it would still be, I feel like they would still be tiny, but they would just all be little stars. And probably because so many things in Rainbow Land are star shaped, like their trees are
yeah.
in the shape of a star and they have star sprinkles, like that's just a property. So I love that imagery, starflakes.
And then 4 castle chimes. But then my favorite part is when Murky and Lurky they come to quote unquote help.
Yes.
And this was it was a little cringy to me, but I kind of like it when they're like 5 lumps of coal, and so then Twink just the whole time is like, "Oh, that's awful and that's terrible, and you guys are ruining my song," kind of a thing, and it's great.
My favorite bit, I think it's twice he does it. He goes, just stop it.
Yeah, yeah, he does. I think he even says "yuck" one time, something
Yeah.
like that. Oh man. But yeah, so then we get, 6 lights a twinkling, we get 7 sprites a sprinkling, so excellent rhyming there.
Yes.
8 falalas from Lala. I don't remember Lala.
Yes. Lala Orange is the orange color kid.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I didn't remember I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes more sense.
Okay, yeah, okay, now it's clicking. um but yeah, they go on and they change the words, and so it's just funny because the whole time they're just trying to ruin his song, and
Yep.
they just can't do it, can't quite do it. He's still
Nope.
he's cheery to the end.
He is. Oh, the little yeah at the end.
He does, yeah, he does say that, yeah. Oh man, yeah, it's really it's a good one. I liked that one, and we like the 12 Days of Christmas here. I won't always sit through like a full version of it,
Yeah.
unless it's like by the Muppets or by Sesame Street. And
Nice.
this is one that I can sit and listen to the whole version. And my daughter really
Yay.
likes this one as well too.
Oh,
She,
that makes me happy.
yeah, she turned 8 back in June, and so she just,
Aw,
yeah, she really likes that
that's
one.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm trying to, and I wish there was like a place where I could just find the old cartoons, without having to purchase them. But I might end up just breaking down and
Oh.
seeing if I can purchase them because I think she'd really enjoy it.
Well, all of Rainbow Bright is on YouTube. I can
All
tell
of
you
it
that
is
much.
really.
It is not the
Oh,
movie, but all the
right.
episodes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, then I will
And you
be
can
playing that for her.
Yay! And you can rent the movie on some of the digital services, but you cannot purchase it, sadly. It's been
Yeah,
on
I saw that. I
for a
was kind of
while.
bummed by it. I saw
Me
it on
too.
like Amazon Prime, I think is what it was, or something. One of those.
Mhm.
I don't know. I was just flipping through the channels, and yeah, I was kind of bummed about that. But
Yeah. I've been bummed about that for a long time.
I'm sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Oh well. I apologize, but for
No, it's
bringing it
okay.
up.
It's okay. It's not like it's a sore spot or anything. No, I'm totally kidding. It's just more, I'm angry at whoever, like, I don't know if it's Warner Brothers who's holding it up or Hallmark or a combination, like, whoever it is making these stupid decisions to not reprint it or not put it on Netflix again. Like, it was on Netflix for like a few years ago, and then it was gone and it's never come back. Whoever's making these choices not to make it available are just bonkers to me. I don't understand, especially with this being the 35th anniversary year of that film,
Yeah.
and it's so beloved. The only company doing anything for it this year is a company in the UK, truffleshuffle.com. They sell mostly apparel, like the shirt that I'm wearing right now
Oh,
is
nice.
is one of theirs. But they actually this year came out with a Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer t-shirt and mug that has the artwork from like the poster, the
Oh,
the movie
sweet.
poster.
That's cool.
So yeah, um, a little bit of that was my suggestion, but they were already thinking about it. But
Nice.
when I said, yeah, you should absolutely do that, they were like, okay, we'll dig into that. And they did. So I was like, yes, finally. But that's all the recognition it looks like we're gonna get this year. And it's so sad. But what can you do? And
I know.
I can't blame Hallmark too much this year because I know they had to make a lot of layoffs toward
Yeah,
the beginning of the year because of COVID.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to be gentle with them.
Well, and yeah, I get it. When Mega Man was turning 30, because Mega Man's like one of my all-time favorite video games, and
Mhm.
when that was turning 30, I was waiting for like a huge, or even 25. I thought they would do
Yeah,
something really huge, and no, nothing really. And
man,
so it was kind of a bummer.
it's a
So
bummer.
yeah, I know what you mean, but especially this year, yeah, I think everybody's giving everybody a lot of slack
Yeah,
for that kind of a thing. So,
but it's Shira's anniversary year too, and I'm like, no,
oh no,
no.
oh
I'm never
no,
gonna get that back. But it's okay. We're, at least we've been able to celebrate virtually
yeah.
in some ways and just talk to other fans like this. Like this is fantastic.
Oh, well, thank
If
you. It is
yeah,
fun.
no, it is. It's filling a hole that is, was lacking from being able to go to conventions and so forth this year. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that we're still able to do this.
yeah, exactly. And spread a little Christmas cheer while we're at
Exactly.
it. The other one that they really changed the words on is deck the hall. And so
Yes.
it's deck the color castle walls, and I think they even say come give Rainbow Bright a hand. And
Uh-huh.
I think at one point they even like start mentioning the like some of the characters names, like I think Buddy
Yep.
Blue and what's her
Patio
name,
green.
Patio Green. That's right. Yeah. Well, you've probably heard this a million times. I've only heard it a few times since I've bought it. It only came like a couple of weeks ago, and so I kind of wish I'd grown up with it because I kind of dig these versions, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But
I'm glad of that. You should not be ashamed, and no one should ever be ashamed, no matter their age or gender or anything. Like, it's music. It's for everyone.
it is, yeah, and
You
it's
like
good
it, you like
music.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was well produced. Jim
Hmm.
Andron, that who we were talking about, he really did a great job because everything's arranged very well. It's mixed really well.
Hmm.
It sounds very very well produced.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you got to give him credit for that. It's really well
Hmm.
done.
Yep. So many instruments. Like I was looking a while back into trying to get a producer to like reproduce like karaoke versions of these songs.
Oh,
And
uh-huh.
they're like all of these instruments, it's gonna cost a lot. It's like
Oh
we could
man.
try to reproduce it with synths, but they're not gonna sound nearly as good as the original.
Right, right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll put that on the back burner for now. Maybe someday.
Wow, that's cool. So I mean it just makes you think about like how many session musicians they had to come in and do all their stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
wow. Well,
And like I'm trying to think if it was just for the first album or both, but like wrote them in like 2 weeks.
oh wow.
It was just like, do this thing, and they did it. And it blows my mind. And these are the people that wrote the Gummy Bears theme song.
Oh, I love the Gummy Bears theme song.
Right? Everybody
It's
does.
so
It's
good.
amazing.
Oh,
And
it's so good.
just so much creativity and talent in those heads. It's just like, oh, wow.
I should see if there's a Gummy Bears Christmas episode or anything Gummy Bears for Christmas. If I can tie it
Yeah, I
in,
wonder.
that would be fun to talk about.
Would be.
Oh man. But then of course they do, the first Noel and Silent Night and
Mhm.
there's a neat little medley in there as well that has some
Yeah.
pretty good transitions going from hymn to hymn, from carol to
Hmm.
carol that I thought was great. Of course they do God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, and they seg into Hark the Herald Angels Sing and Oh Christmas Tree. And that one's just done by, the Color Kids, which I guess is just a generic term for the singers
Yeah.
there. Um, but the one that Rainbow Brite herself sings, Bettina, like you mentioned, is of course the Gift of Love, Silent Night, which is gorgeous. It's a great version of
Yes.
it. She does Deck the Hall as well. So if it doesn't say Rainbow Brite and the Color Kids, was it just the chorus singing it?
Probably. I think I think she does have a solo in the one that has the Oh Christmas Tree.
Oh, the
Um,
medley. Hmm.
yeah, because she sings it the first time through, and then the second time through, it's the Color Kids.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I think those other two songs are the only ones that she sings by herself,
Hmm.
or as the main vocalist, I should say. I mean, there's others singing in the background.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah. Yeah, they do.
yeah,
They fill in the harmonies for all that.
yep. And there's
Um,
a lot of good harmonies, actually. I was impressed with that.
They are. The arrangements are very good. Yeah, the harmonies are nice and tight. There's there's one little bit in Jingle Bells. So it's right when they start to get into the different parts, and there's a way that Bing Crosby, when he's singing with the Andrews Sisters, there's a harmony that he does, a lower harmony that I
Mhm.
always end up. Even though I'm a tenor, I'm not a bass, but whenever I sing with my family, I always end up doing that part, and
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
and so I let my wife and my daughters and do the high part. But it's so I started doing that part, and as I was like, my ear naturally wanted to fill that in, so I was listening to it, and all of a sudden, they don't quite hit that note. They end up singing a different note towards the end there, and then they walk it up the scale. And so I found it hilarious that like I couldn't, but I didn't anticipate it because I was just thinking of the Bing Crosby version. So I heard
Uh-huh.
it like, wait, what? And I turned over, I turned to the record player, yeah, as if I could, like as if it could see me, but turned over and I was just thinking like, wow, that was pretty interesting.
Nice. I do love it when songs surprise you like that because that doesn't happen a lot these days.
No, it really doesn't. Well, I don't want to talk about today's music.
Right.
I'll
Same.
I'll get into it. So I'll avoid that. But um, but yeah. So there was a few bits here and there that I thought were just really great. And like I said, the harmonies were tight. It was
Mhm.
really close together. And so I thought overall it was a great album.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it because I certainly do.
Yeah, It is always nice when people like the things you like too.
Yes, it is. Because you could have been like, oh, I listened to this and it was terrible. How do you like this? Uh, which,
No,
some people probably have that opinion and they are entitled to it.
that's true. You're right.
Um,
I'd say for sure it's definitely not for everyone. I think
yeah,
if you're a child of the '80s, I think it at least most of the time will be right up your alley.
yeah,
Especially if you grew up watching like Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake and all these yeah, even
yep.
He-Man and
Hmm.
there's notes in it that are catchy. There's
Yeah.
something almost Disney-esque about it, but without the actual I mean, the production value is good. It's not like Disney production value, but still, there's something about it that is very, very similar. So,
Well, Buena Vista Records was owned by Disney, or
yes,
is, whatever. So I guess I don't know if that's like an offshoot or if it was still Disney proper. I don't exactly understand the relationship there. Um, yeah, I guess there's a bit of a difference in production quality, but it still was Disney.
but not much. I mean, it's something, and I think it has more to do with the arrangements,
Okay.
and chord composition, like the progressions of the chords. They're just something that's not quite all the way there, but at the same time, it's very enjoyable. So if you like that, you'd like it as well. At least
Awesome.
that's what I think. But
I trust your opinion. You definitely sound like you know what you're talking about. So
I know a little bit. I hope I I think I sound like I know more than I do. Uh, but I do. That does bring me to the question that I have to ask: is that what would you say? And if you could pick a specific, because I don't know, it's not always possible. But if you could pick a specific, what would you say is your happiest memory of Rainbow Bright in general, or maybe just the album in particular?
well, since I didn't grow up with the album, I'm trying to even remember when I got it because the other album, the non-Christmas one I got when I was in high school, a friend of mine gave me her record from when she was a kid
Oh
because
wow!
I didn't grow up with either one of these.
Right,
So I like transferred it to cassette tape and literally in high school listening to a Rainbow Bright album in my car driving
nice.
to and from school. It was hysterical. Everybody who I gave a ride to was just like, this girl's
What?
insane, but whatevs. Um, I hope they found it endearing and not creepy, but whatever. I mean, but my like
It's
nickname was Rainbow Bright, so they knew it was just
yeah, yeah, I
me.
gotcha.
I was already collecting back. It had already begun. Um, so yeah, I probably didn't get the album until like maybe off of eBay or something in the 90s. But I definitely remember loving it when I first listened to. I just don't have a specific memory to really draw on, other than I just the gift of a gift of love has always been a huge favorite ever since I heard it for the first time.
Yeah.
But as far as a kid, Christmas memories with Rainbow Bright, I did get for my birthday in '84, I had gotten Rainbow Bright herself, like the small one, a small doll, and Starlight the horse. And I got Red Butler, the doll, and
Nice.
the big red Sprite, because red was my favorite color as a kid, although mine is also blue now.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, yeah, so those that was my big Rainbow Bright. I mean, I got so that was the thing that like in the 80s, I was more into He-Man than into any other one specific property. But I got a little bit of everything. I got a few dolls, a few Care Bears, a few My Little Ponies, a few Popples, just a little bit of some Pound Puppies. Like I had a little
Nice.
bit of everything.
Well, they have a Christmas
Um,
album too. The
no
Pound Puppies.
way.
They do, yeah.
Serious? Oh, I have to look that up now.
Yeah, mine came in a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, it's like the Pound Puppies, Care Bears, Cabbage Patch Kids. I think I have all those now. Strawberry Shortcake has a Christmas album.
Oh
So I'm excited.
man,
I can't wait to talk about all those as well.
I got some catching up to do. And then I'll listen to your episodes about them as
Oh,
well,
well,
of
thank you.
course.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, I know what you mean. My favorite memory of He-Man was when I got Castle Grayskull as a kid for
Yes.
Christmas. That was like one of the best Christmas presents I ever got, Castle Grayskull. But as far as Rainbow Bright goes, I think because I didn't grow up with the album either. I only found out about it literally like about a month ago, or maybe two
Wow.
months ago. So I think my best memory would be actually watching the movie and seeing like that Chris character, and he had that like that cool gun kind of a thing, and
Yeah, a little prism.
yeah, that's what it was. And I just thought, man, that guy's cool, and like relating to him, and um, so that would be like my happiest memory. Although I think now listening to the soundtrack listen to the album with my daughter was probably up there. So
Oh, absolutely. That's gotta, yeah, I can't, I don't have kids, so I just kind of like imagine, but yeah, I can totally imagine what a special experience that would be. So
yeah,
that's
it
awesome.
was nice, yeah. But that brings me to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the album. Now, as a guest, I'll let you go first. You can just kind of set up the little piece of music there, or dialogue or whatever it is,
All right.
and then we'll put it up to the voters and the listeners. They'll vote, and the winner will get a totally rad Christmas sticker, unless I win, in which case I get nothing. So, but I think you're going to be okay, because this is already, I don't know how many it's episode, and I still have not won yet. So
I don't know though. Like, see, the umbrage I have with the section I chose is very specific to being a Rainbow Bright fan, and it's because in this album specifically, the first album, it's there, but it's very you can't really unless you're really paying attention for it, it's very subtle. But in this particular album, and especially in Deck the Halls, Starlight chooses to go full British, and he does not have a British accent in the show at all. So whoever they got to be his singing voice, I don't know if they were British or just thought he should be British, because he is kind of flamboyant and fabulous and fantastic, and I don't know where that came from. But there's this particular part in here. I was figuring out what note to start on that I could try to sing it. It was an octave lower than that, of course. I'll see if I can do this. Yeah. Murky dismals down in the pits. I'm not going to do all the follow laws.
Right, that's fine.
Rotherby glum, so there he sits. Lurky's just like Murky's double. Those two won't be any trouble.
That's good British, yeah.
Not good, but
well,
I think he says rather and won't. It was just like, oh my God, come on.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be better than mine. I chose Murky and Lurky from the 12 Days of Christmas, not because I didn't like it, but because the way they sang it with such just such energy. And poor Twink, but so they're singing, and he goes, excuse me, they go, 5 lumps of coal. That's terrible. That was a terrible impression. I'm sorry. Oh man. But I will so there you go, listeners. You can vote, and I'll put it up on Twitter, and if Facebook will finally allow me to put up polls again, I will do that as well. And again, winner will get a totally rad Christmas sticker.
Nice.
But so G.I. Joe, they taught us that knowing is half the battle. What do you think is the other half?
Rainbows, duh.
There you go. I like that. That's better than mine. Mine is so knowing is half the battle. The other half is only using some of your voice casts so you can save money on your Christmas album.
That applies very well for this album.
Oh man, Katy, it's been so much fun talking with you and just reminiscing about Rainbow Brite and everything. What do you want to plug? Like, tell me about everything.
Oh gosh. So yeah, rainbowbrite.net is definitely still my Rainbow Brite presence all over the web, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all one word, and I'll come right up. And yeah, I also do have that rainbowbrite.org site, but it doesn't get a lot of traffic. So I've kind of been slacking off on updating it lately, but there's still literally thousands of pictures on there of fans in cosplay or crafts that they've made, custom dolls, tattoos, etc., etc. So if you're interested in what Rainbow Brite fans are doing, that's a good place to look. And feel free to submit your own pictures if you have any that you want to contribute. Um, but I also am into He-Man and She-Ra, as we've mentioned a few times here. And I've been on the Masters Cast podcast since 2005. We just recently celebrated our 15th anniversary.
Nice.
We don't record often anymore.
Wow.
It's a more once in a while thing, but we love it so much every time we do. And there are so many other He-Man and She-Ra podcasts out there these days filling the gap, so we don't feel like we need to. Um, so yeah, we're thankful that they've kind of taken the burden off of us of having to be like the news source and keep up with everything because there's just so much always happening for He-Man. But we're
Mm-hmm.
still around, at least every now and then. And Brightcast maybe will come back, but you can always listen to old episodes. The website for that is thebrightcast.com, or in your podcast app, it would just be Brightcast. And Masterscast is all one word. I think Brightcast might have a space in it, so try it either way. I don't know. And then I'm also, if any of you are Harry Potter fans, I am the producer and also a host on the podcast Aloha Mora, which is run by MuggleNet.com. And I'm a volunteer for MuggleNet.com as well. So we deep dive into chapters, we deep dive into characters and topics and themes, and just we go nuts. We get into the weeds. So if you're the type that something you love and that thing you love might be Harry Potter, put your feelings for the author aside, as I try to do, and come give us a listen. See what you think.
Right on. That's a lot of stuff. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
I stay way too busy on my computer.
Well, hey, especially nowadays, what else are we gonna do?
Right?
So yeah, sounds good to me. And definitely check it out. There's lots of cool stuff out there. Her YouTube videos are really neat. You get to see a lot of cool stuff there as well.
Oh,
And
those are so fun to do.
so yeah, for sure. I mean, check it out.
Thanks.
rainbowbright.net.
Yep. Yeah, lots of people, I think my videos are the thing I update the most these days. Or if something new comes out, I'll post it on social media, from like Truffle Shuffle or something, because they're like the only company making new stuff right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, YouTube is where I'm posting most, or pretty much anything else at the moment, because I do all these merch hauls because I can't stop collecting even though I'm running out of space. It's just too fun. So yeah, for sure, join me over there. It's a good time.
Oh man. Well, Katie, thanks again.
You're very welcome.
And I'm going to end it by saying a gift of love, full of hope and light, a Christmas gift to share by checking us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling as happy as Bettina singing Rainbow Brite on a Christmas album, leave us a review on iTunes. Not only does it help us reach more people, but you also get a free sticker. Now, don't forget to vote. Later, dudes.
There's a special gift we're giving at a special time of year. It's Christmas Day in Rainbow Land, and all our friends are near. The greatest joy is making a gift we all can share. So open up your eyes, surprise, and look into the sky and see a gift of love, a rainbow above, a brand new coat of colors to brighten Christmas Day, a gift of love, full of hope and light, a Christmas gift to share from Rainbow Brite. We made a special rainbow for you on Christmas Day. This ribbon in the sky will always chase the clouds away. And when you're feeling gray inside, wherever you may be, a rainbow shines on you. It'll last the whole year through, 'cause it's a gift of love, a rainbow above, a brand new coat of colors to brighten Christmas Day, a gift of love, full of hope and light, a Christmas gift to share from Rainbow Brite.
Yay! That was good. That was really good.